Welcome to IQD Dinar News, your go-to source for the latest updates on currency exchange rates, revaluation news, and insights into the Iraqi dinar. Stay informed and ahead of the curve with our timely analysis and breaking developments. To expand on the topic at length, we must first delve deeply into several layers of background information and context. The central discussion focuses on a parliamentary delegation set to visit the Kurdistan region in Iraq to address the issue of employee salaries, a crucial aspect that ties into a broader, highly significant financial and political issue, the long-standing hydrocarbon law, HCL, negotiations. This law governs the management and distribution of Iraq's oil wealth, particularly the revenue-sharing mechanism between the central Iraqi government and the Kurdistan Regional Government, KRG. The Kurdish region, an autonomous entity in northern Iraq, has a complex and sometimes contentious relationship with the central government in Baghdad, particularly over issues of resource management and revenue allocation. Oil, being Iraq's primary export and source of government revenue, is at the heart of this dispute. For decades, the question of how to fairly distribute Iraq's oil revenues between the central government and the Kurdistan region has been a topic of heated political negotiations, regional power plays, and even conflict. The proposed hydrocarbon law is designed to resolve these disputes by laying down clear guidelines for the sharing of oil revenues, ensuring that all regions of Iraq, including Kurdistan, receive their fair share of oil-generated wealth. This delegation visit mentioned in the article, therefore, can be seen as part of ongoing efforts to finalize the HCL. While the issue of employee salaries in Kurdistan might seem like a smaller, localized problem, it is in fact one of the hiccups holding back the finalization and public announcement of the HCL. Understanding the significance of these negotiations requires a deeper dive into the history of Iraq's oil sector, the political dynamics between Baghdad and Erbil, the capital of the Kurdish region, and the broader geopolitical context that shapes Iraq's financial landscape. Iraq's oil sector is vast and incredibly important, not only for the country's economy but for the global oil market. Iraq is home to some of the world's largest proven oil reserves, and its economy is highly dependent on oil exports. The country's oil industry was nationalized in the 1970s, and since then, the central government has retained control over oil production and exports. However, the Kurdish region has always had a somewhat independent approach to oil, especially after gaining autonomy in the 1990s. In the years following the fall of Saddam Hussein's regime in 2003, the Kurdish regional government began signing its own oil contracts with foreign companies, bypassing Baghdad's authority. This move led to significant friction between the two governments, as Baghdad viewed these contracts as illegal while the KRG insisted on its right to manage the oil within its territory. One of the core elements of the dispute is how much of the oil revenue generated in Kurdistan should go to the central government and how much should stay in the region. The Kurdish government has long sought a greater share of oil revenues to fund its own development and pay its employees, including the Peshmerga, the region's military forces. However, Baghdad has resisted these demands, arguing that oil is a national resource and that revenue from oil sales should be distributed according to a centralized, national system. This disagreement has resulted in periodic standoffs, with both sides using oil as leverage. For instance, Baghdad has at times withheld the Kurdish region's share of the national budget, while the KRG has threatened to export oil independently of the central government. In this context, the issue of employee salaries becomes highly significant. The Kurdish government relies on its share of the national budget, which includes oil revenue, to pay its employees, including public sector workers and the Peshmerga. When Baghdad withholds this share, it creates a financial crisis in the region, leading to delays in salary payments and growing discontent among the population. This discontent can then be used as leverage by the Kurdish government in its negotiations with Baghdad, as it underscores the need for a more stable and predictable revenue-sharing mechanism. The visit by the parliamentary delegation, as mentioned in the article, is likely part of an effort to resolve this issue and ensure that the Kurdish region receives the funds it needs to pay its employees. However, this is not just a technical or administrative matter, it is deeply intertwined with the broader political negotiations over the HCL. The fact that this issue is being described as one of the last hiccups before the HCL can be passed publicly is significant. It suggests that the negotiations have reached an advanced stage and that the resolution of the salary issue could pave the way for a final agreement on the law. If the HCL is indeed passed, it would represent a major breakthrough in Iraqi politics. The law has been stalled for years due to the deep divisions between Baghdad and Erbil, as well as the broader complexities of Iraq's federal system and the competing interests of different regions and ethnic groups. The passage of the HCL would not only resolve the long-standing dispute over oil revenue sharing but could also signal a broader rapprochement between the central government and the Kurdish region. This could have far-reaching implications for Iraq's stability, as it would remove one of the major sources of tension between the two governments. Moreover, the passage of the HCL could have significant economic implications, particularly for the value of the Iraqi dinar. The dinar, Iraq's national currency, has long been subject to fluctuations due to the country's unstable political and economic situation. A major law like the HCL, which would stabilize the country's oil revenue system and potentially boost investor confidence, could lead to a revaluation of the dinar. Many investors and observers have speculated that the passage of the HCL could be a trigger for a significant increase in the value of the dinar, as it would signal a more stable and prosperous economic environment. In this context, the speculation mentioned in the article that the passage of the HCL could lead to a new value for the dinar makes sense. The dinar's value is closely tied to the health of Iraq's economy, which in turn is heavily dependent on oil revenues. A more stable and predictable oil revenue sharing system, as would be provided by the HCL, could boost confidence in the dinar and lead to its revaluation. This is especially relevant for those who have invested in the dinar, as a revaluation could result in significant financial gains. However, it is important to note that while the passage of the HCL could lead to a revaluation of the dinar, this is by no means guaranteed. Currency values are influenced by a wide range of factors, including inflation, interest rates, and investor confidence. While the passage of the HCL would likely improve investor confidence in Iraq's economy, other factors could still affect the dinar's value. For instance, the broader geopolitical situation in the region, including ongoing conflicts and tensions with neighboring countries, could continue to create uncertainty and instability, which could, in turn, affect the dinar's value. In addition to the political and economic implications of the HCL, there are also social and regional factors to consider. The passage of the law could have a major impact on the relationship between different regions and ethnic groups in Iraq. The Kurdish region, as mentioned, has long sought greater autonomy and control over its resources, and the passage of the HCL could be seen as a victory for Kurdish leaders. However, other regions and groups in Iraq may also seek to renegotiate their own revenue-sharing agreements in the wake of the HCL's passage, which could lead to further political negotiations and potential conflicts. Moreover, The passage of the HCL could have implications for Iraq's relations with its neighbors, particularly Turkey and Iran, both of which have a strong interest in Iraq's oil sector. Turkey, in particular, has been involved in the Kurdish oil industry, as it has served as a transit route for Kurdish oil exports. The passage of the HCL could lead to changes in these relationships, as it would formalize the revenue-sharing system and potentially alter the dynamics of Iraq's oil exports. In conclusion, the parliamentary delegation's visit to the Kurdistan region to address the issue of employee salaries is part of a much larger and more complex political and economic process. While the issue of salaries may seem like a small hiccup, it is actually a key part of the broader negotiations over the hydrocarbon law, which has the potential to reshape Iraq's political landscape, stabilize its economy, and even lead to a revaluation of the dinar. The passage of the HCL, if it happens, would be a major breakthrough in Iraqi politics, with far-reaching implications for the country's stability, economy, and regional relationships. However, there are still many uncertainties, and while the resolution of the salary issue is a positive sign, it remains to be seen whether the HCL will indeed be passed and what its full impact will be. Thanks for tuning in to IQD Dinar News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more updates on the Iraqi dinar and global currency trends, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.